All right, the last Democratic debate before the mayoral elections, or at least the Democratic primary, I should say, came last night. And it had Christine Quinn and Bill Thompson both going on offense against the frontrunner, if you believe the polls, Bill de Blasio. One example claims that de Blasio took campaign cash from people his office had placed on a quote-unquote bad landlord list. De Blasio defending himself and getting some help from a surprising source.
This is another example of Bill de Blasio saying one thing and doing something quite different when it's politically expedient for him.
It's Bill talking out of both sides of his mouth, making a list that's supposed to help tenants, but really it ended up becoming a campaign fundraising list for the public advocate.
Let me just say this, and I'm not voting for Bill de Blasio, I'm voting for me. But, no one's fought harder to stand up to slumlords than Bill has. I mean, that's not the good issue to hit him on. I mean, he's been good on that stuff. Term limits, yes, he's flip-flopped on that. His policies aren't as good as mine. But accusing him of being a defender of slumlords is pretty ridiculous.
Both of my colleagues just issued a series of inaccurate statements, so let's be very clear. Our watch list got 300 buildings fixed. Don't ask me, ask the city's housing department, HPD.
Well, as you can see there from the calendar, we got 6 days here until Election Day. And the other news in the minds of the candidates, yesterday's Q poll, it showed de Blasio pulling further ahead and threatening to win without a runoff. Again, the magic number of 40 there. Guys, first of all, Dom, you believe the numbers here? Is the momentum really real? I still can't explain for the life of me how de Blasio, I don't think, has the name recognition that a lot of other people do. Every poll shows him pulling further and further ahead.
I don't know if he gets 40%, and I don't believe the polls as far as Thompson. I know he's going to do better than what they're actually showing. That's why I believe it will be de Blasio, Thompson, and a runoff. But if Bill Thompson is not careful, de Blasio might just squeak by, and that may be it.
I don't think there's any question that de Blasio is out in front and certainly has the momentum. You're seeing that just in the reactions from the other campaigns. Thompson and Quinn might be hitting each other if it wasn't de Blasio's running away with it. I think Dominic may be right about getting to 40%, but clearly
there's a runoff, you think, Evan?
Yeah, I do. I mean, look, he has momentum. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you see the trajectory that he's on. It's impressive. But he has a ceiling to that, and I think he hit it. And popular support that has come over in the last 2 weeks or so is going to level off and probably dip back down. And it's also important to remember that these polls, even though they're going for likely voters, they really go for the people that have voted once or twice over the last few elections, not every election, because it's very hard to do a polling sample by phone that way. And the people that go out to vote are attached to unions. They're on the Upper West Side. They're in the Brownstone area. And I think that helps Christine Quinn and Thompson more than de Blasio, who didn't get a lot of institutional support
if you
while
had
he
to
was
bet
running.
money now, who makes the runoff with de Blasio?
This is the favorite parlor game right now. I would bet Quinn actually gets into the runoff with de Blasio, and I don't think that's popular sentiment. I think popular sentiment is that Thompson gets in with de Blasio. The only reason I say that is because of what I just said, that Quinn's ceiling is higher, I think, of the pie. She's a bigger piece of the pie, a higher ceiling than the rest of the group, because she has locked up, I think, especially with the New York Times endorsement, wealthier white voters, and they vote like crazy in the Upper West Side, Brownstone, Brooklyn, East Side, places like that. Plus, she does have that institutional support that drives get out the vote operations.
She doesn't seem to have those constituencies. You can just put your finger on and count on, even female voters, even, there doesn't seem to be.
You can't pay for enthusiasm,
no.
and I think that's hurting her.
On the flip side, Loda looks like he's going to win this thing going away. But the controller race, Tom, it's interesting because what everybody thought was a foregone conclusion a month ago or so, that Spitzer would win going away, the thing's a toss-up now. And every number you look with him and Stringer, is it the Wiener scandal that had carryover for Spitzer? No, why did Stringer pull ahead, or at least make this thing?
Well, first of all, I mean, Stringer has had the support across the board of every basic elected Democrat in New York City, and I think Evan hit it on the head earlier, is that I think Spitzer has topped out. He can't get above the 45 range, and I think that's where he's going to stay, maybe 46, 47, and that's why I think Stringer will win the race by, we said 5 or 6 points.
Or is it
I think people figured that out a while ago.
Right.
Do I really care about that? Did I think he was a bad governor? Or do I care about hookers? But the interesting trend line to me, and Tom and I agree on this, the interesting trend line to me, though, is as Stringer's name recognition has increased, so has his poll numbers about who he's going to vote. And that's
I think
just because
a good
people
commercial too. As silly as it is,
Yeah,
all of a sudden you see him with the Times endorsement and the other endorsements, and all of a sudden you say, I got an excuse to vote
and
for the
he's
other
doing
guy.
what he needed to do, which was drive up Spitzer's negatives to a point where he was going to top out and he wasn't going to be able to get over 50%. And
But Weiner has
it
had
took
to
a month, but he did it.
Of course,
Right?
Weiner. Of course, Weiner. As long as Weiner was riding high, Spitzer was riding high as well. It made people take a second look. And Richard, I just want to point out, going back to the mayor's race for 1 second, some bad news for Bill Thompson tonight. Al Sharpton has said, as of late this afternoon, he may actually remain neutral in the primary.
He said in the weekend he was considering between Thompson and de Blasio.
Right, he said that. But I mean, if you're Bill Thompson, these guys
I'm
have
sorry,
been.
just double check.
They-
Sharpton muzzling himself. I mean, I would have ever thought we'd have seen
They have been the
day.
best of friends for
Yeah.
Thompson and Sharpton. It's got to be a
Is
major
he
blow
just
for
bringing his
Thompson.
A game this campaign? I mean, what is there a difference between Bill Thompson in 2013 than there
I
was
like
in
Bill,
2000?
but have you seen
Bill's
the
a
A game?
nice guy. There is no A game.
Right.
I mean, he's a really nice guy. You think 4 years ago you felt like he brought his A game?
Right.
Well, we didn't even know he was running. It just happened. Well, we really don't want Bloomberg
On election
anymore.
night, I think he was as surprised as the rest of us.
He's
Oh my God, I
a
can't
really
believe
nice
But
man.
fairness now, he is a low-key
He's
guy.
a
I like him.
gentleman.
I think he's the most
like him,
competent
but
guy in
don't
the
tell me
field.
like he's got an A game. And here's the funny thing about de Blasio that somebody said to me that I really understood. De Blasio really is a politician. He's a political guy.
De Blasio's got an A game?
No, wait, listen. I'll tell you what his A game is. He's a street politician. So at the end of it, every decision is made on politics. How is this going to look? How am I going to get from point A to point B to point C? So he changes. There's no core value belief there.
Tom, I
It's
think he
what's best
stumbled
for me.
across the commercial where all of a sudden everybody fell in love with the kid with the afro. I think that was not as much of a strategy point.
Well,
I think he kind of stepped
I
into
gotta
that.
say,
Oh,
actually,
you don't
I
think the
actually
politics
agree.
of that is?
Oh,
you don't
no,
think
I
that's
think
politics?
once he found it, I think once he found it, we're going to look back and say, all of a sudden the family dynamic.
Look, I think it's a
worked
little bit
for
of
de
skill
Blasio.
and it's a little bit of luck. I actually agree. I think de Blasio has outperformed in terms of what he had to do to get into this race, the other two candidates. He's got good people behind him. Berlin Rosen is a strategist. They're very good. And they know that population that's the target for him, which is the liberal wing of the Democratic Party. But let me just say one more thing.
He got lucky and fell upon his black child with his large
No.
afro,
That was
and
the
it
strategy
worked.
part. That was the The lucky part is that Stop and Frisk became a bigger deal.
That's
Also,
true. That's true.
also,
You
also,
know, there was a conversation 2 months ago. The kids was going to get a haircut. He goes, "Don't you touch that hair? You pick that thing out."
One more thing. I think this is an important point. So also there was an exhaustion with the rest of the field from Weiner hangover. That's a weird
You
phrase.
can't
Weiner
go-
hangover.
just keep going.
Weiner hangover and Quinn getting attacked constantly, and conversation about like, can Thompson raise enough money? Can he get out there? The de Blasio just sort of sat
He filled the
around
void,
so
yeah.
that now we're projecting as liberals, I think, our view of what we want the mayor to be onto him. It's not necessarily accurate, but he's getting the benefit of that too.
You guys
and that's
didn't
the
even
luck part.
catch Brother Richard there. Did you hear him when referring to de Blasio's son? He said, pick that thing out. You see? He knows. Brother Richard knows.
But the funny thing of it is that, listen, he could win with, say, 36, 37%.
Yeah.
Second place could get 21. He may not be the mayor.
I know.
Because I think in a runoff,
That's
he's
the
in deep
interesting
trouble in a
part.
runoff.
That's the
Gets
interesting
into a
part.
runoff.
Thompson
He's
in a
gonna
runoff,
win.
I
By
think
the
he
way,
definitely wins.
Logan's
Well-
a big winner if there's a runoff, right? Because they got to beat each other up for a
Oh,
week.
yes, there's no question. But if it's de Blasio and Loda, that will be a very interesting race for the
There's no
Republicans.
doubt that's the
there will
best
be
case
a
scenario
lot
for
of money on that, and
Republicans.
there will be conservative Democrats in the outer boroughs who will jump on the Loda.
And it'll be a
bandwagon, right?
polarizing debate.
Don't
frankly.
sleep on Joe Loda. Don't sleep on him.
Hedging bets, Dominic Carter. All right, we take a break here. When we come back, a name that we talk quite a bit about in the mayor's race here is making all kind of weird headlines for all different kinds of reasons. We're talking about Anthony Weiner, and I wonder about de Blasio when he got the support there from Anthony Weiner, if he's like, stop talking. But anyway, we're going to tell you why exactly. He's making some strange headlines the last few days, and if it's just weird or if it's more something worse than that. Stay with us. We'll be right back.